So, next fight of the night, we got a short notice replacement. We got Tecia Torres going in there against Sam Hughes. Cody Safdie, why don't you get us going here?
Yeah, okay, so I don't know if it's a trap, but I mean, everyone's kind of thinking the same thing, which is Tecia Torres by decision. And it's no offense to Sam Hughes, but Tecia Torres is just one of those people that if you're going to give her the top contender in the division, she's going to lose. If you give her the champion, she's going to lose. If you give her anybody that's in that top 3, 5, 7, she's going to lose. And decisions, you know, she's very, very, very durable. But when she wins, it's also decisions. And what we see in that Van Buren fight is if you give her that step down in competition, if you give her a green fighter, if you give her somebody that does have holes in their game, she's going to exploit them. And she looked really good in that fight. Now, I was one of those people that looked at the Van Buren and thought, geez, you know what? Technically, she's pretty sound. Her boxing's pretty good. She looks big, physically strong for the division. Wrestling's come a long way. She won that one night Invicta tournament, looked strong throughout. I bought into the hype. But Tecia is who she is, an excellent gatekeeper. But even when she goes and puts this beating on them, and by the way, she put a beating on Van Buren, she just doesn't have that stopping power. Just has one submission victory over Juliana Lima, and that's in her entire pro career. So when she's fighting Joanne and Jacek, when she's fighting Jessica Andrade, when she's fighting Weili Zhang, she can't find a hole in the game because there's just so few and far between for world-class champions like that. But for people that are on their way up, I mean, it's like it should be easy pickings for her. She's still in the prime of her career. She's still getting a lot better. She always shows up in excellent shape. And with Sam Hughes, it's no discredit to her, but she literally turned professional last year, 2019, February 2019. As far as how she looks, it's been limited competition. Like everyone keeps talking about the Vanessa Demopoulos fight. And geez, she's winning that fight. She looks good through the first 2 rounds. 3rd round, okay. 4th round fight hits the ground. She gets caught with the inverted triangle. But you guys know Vanessa Demopoulos. She's the worst striker you've ever seen and has absolutely no wrestling. Former stripper. Low-key pretty hot too. But winning rounds against her is just like, it's not Tecia Torres. She's in and out and she's going to be bopping. But one thing about Sam Hughes is she seems tough. She's willing. She's tough. This is a huge spot for her. She's taking on a ranked contender like Tecia Torres, who's fought a who's who. So I think you go with fight goes the distance, but that's not a great price. You go with Tecia Torres by decision. Money's coming that way. I see now. It was 175 earlier in the week. And I have seen a couple theories been out there that's like, you know what? Ticia's striking still evolving and she's got some power and she might be able to go out there and just put a beating on Hughes and put her away. But again, I think Hughes is tough enough that at this weight class, women's MMA, if it's not a submission from guard, an armbar from guard, which I don't think Tecia Torres is going to get, the knockouts, they're few and far between. So yeah, I got to go with Tecia Torres. Like this is an underdog pick I would have no interest in whatsoever. And as far as trying to chase a little extra value instead of just betting Torres straight up, I'm chasing that Torres by decision.
There you go. Guru, spit that hot fire.
Yeah, man, I agree. I mean, Sam Hughes, to me, watched a few of her fights, and she's just kind of like a grinder, like boxer, wrestler, but she doesn't really have great top control. She seems like she has decent head movement, and, you know, we'll get inside. She's going to have a size advantage, but I just think Ticia's way faster. She has, you know, all that experience. I don't think Hughes will be able to take her down, and if she does early on, I don't think she's going to control her much at all. So, I mean, Ticia's just way better, but at minus 500, whatever it is, I'm not even looking at that as like a parlay piece or anything. But like you said, by decision is probably what's going to happen. So it's not bad value there. So I got to go with, I got to go with Tecia Torres though.
Makes sense to me. Lock of the night. Who do you got?
Yeah, no, I've been a Tiny Tornado fan for a long time now. She always shows like peaks of like top level talent. Like she is good all around. She has a great all around game. She has good takedowns. She has good striking. She's strong. She moves very quickly as well too. And it shows you the confidence that the UFC has in her, keeping her around even after 4 straight losses. It's not often that you see a fighter still in the UFC after 3 straight losses. She got 4. And she's still in the UFC. But luckily for her, she turns it around against Brianna Van Buren, goes out there and gets a solid victory as a solid underdog too. A lot of people are writing her off in that fight. But honestly, I feel like Sam Hughes is a very poor woman's version of Tecia Torres. Like she's good all around, but she's still relatively new, so she's still kind of green. But she shows decent striking. She shows decent ability to like mix in her takedowns with her striking. She seems strong as well too. But that's the difference, though. I think that Tecia Torres, she has all those things, but just better with more experience. You know, she's been around the game much longer, like Cody touched on. Sam Hughes just turned pro last year. So there's a lot of like small things that add up to something huge here with Tecia Torres, which is why she's like such a heavy favorite here. Obviously, in this fight, we know that Tecia Torres doesn't really like going for the finish or getting a finish or anything like that. The only person she's ever finished was Juliana Lima. That was over 3 years ago now, close to 3.5 years ago. But she's very durable. She goes out there and just soundly beats her opponents whenever she gets the W. And I'm expecting the same thing here against Sam Hughes. So I wouldn't mind Tecia Torres, honestly. Like it's chalky as hell. Don't get me wrong. Minus 570 is very chalky. I wouldn't mind her as a small little parlay piece if you want to just sprinkle a little bit of cherry on top of any of your parlays there. But I think she's a safe spot. The over 2.5, even minus 300, minus 313. Yeah, heavy chalk, heavy juice, but I don't see either woman getting a finish here. So either way, I'm going with Tecia Torres. She takes this fight by decision. Minus 175, a little bit juicier than I like for a decision prop. But still, I think that's a solid spot here. Cody referred to it as a possible trap spot. I think history tells us that she likes going to the decision. She doesn't really go for the knockout much or anything like that. So yeah, I like Torres here by decision.
Yep. Well, I tell you what, I'm riding with you guys too. I got Torres. You know, she's a decisionator. I'm going to take her by decision. You know, Sam Hughes, Sam Page, I watched the tape on her. You know, I was actually saying to myself, you know, for this being such a short notice, you know, kind of we need a body in there to get Tecia, you know, get this fight happening. I thought she looked all right. You know what I mean? At the same time, though, stylistically speaking, I just see Tecia being the faster, far more output. You know, we touched on Tecia. She's not overly dangerous. I think Tecia Torres wins this fight by decision. Feel pretty good about it. So Sam Hughes, man, I think she's going to be okay in the UFC. I think she'll probably win some fights. But, man, so many red flags, so green, coming in on not even a full week's notice. There's just a lot to overcome in this spot against Tecia Torres, who honestly, you look at her losses, it's champions and former champions and title challengers, and I just don't think Sam Hughes is at that level yet.